Fox News Alert: air travel slowly resuming in Atlanta after that power outage. It canceled more than 1,000 flights at the world's busiest airport. The airlines say expect more cancellations and delays today as they try to clear a backlog of passengers stranded, stuck overnight. Ellen Carmichael, one of them, and she joins us now by phone. Ellen, thank you for your time and calling in. This is still a bit of a mystery. What happened to cause this power outage? Can you describe the moment it happened?
Well, we weren't here when it happened. We were notified about 40 minutes prior to our landing that there was going to be an issue at the Atlanta airport regarding a power outage. But we were kind of under the impression that it had been solved because it had happened earlier in the morning. But then when we arrived around 3:40 yesterday, we were notified that we weren't going to be going to the gate. And then we looked out the window and saw literally hundreds of airplanes on the runway. It was just sheer pandemonium. There were fire trucks. It was wild.
Have you been given any explanation for why this happened?
Well, all we really know is that there was a power outage with Georgia Power, and that it was something, either a cut cord, was what we were initially told. It was potentially a fire. Obviously, when there's a fire in an airport, people start to speculate if it's terrorism. It kind of created a very tense situation on board, with people wondering if it was safe to get off the plane. And just for the safety of everybody involved, once we saw that the police were involved, that there was an evacuation of the airport, we pull up, there's no lights on. It was a pretty terrifying situation. So
on Facebook, you go on into some detail. You describe the scene like something out of a movie, only worse, you said, because it lasted more than 6 hours total. And that's on top, you write, of the 10.5 hours you spent in flight. What were you doing for food and water?
There was none. About 5 hours into the flight, they walked around with, 5 hours onto the tarmac, they walked around with some cups of water. And eventually some pretzels, but there was a lot of children on board. It was just pretty stressful, although I will say that the Delta pilot was tremendous and came around and talked to us and let us know what was going on. But after being on a plane for about 16 hours in total, there was a lot of claustrophobia and cabin fever, and people were just clapping and ready to get off the plane when we were finally allowed to disembark.
And oftentimes, for many of us who travel, you can see that other people, even if you try to hold it together, other people can get very frustrated and very tired, and these situations can go from bad to worse. How were other passengers reacting to this?
I mean, some were handling it better than others. Remarkably, the children were very well behaved. I don't know that I would have been at that age. I think people were kind of joking about it at first, and then starting to get pretty wound up and distressed. But overall, I think people handled it pretty well, all things considered. And once we were off the plane, it was just sort of chaos trying to figure out. Our bags didn't arrive because they hadn't been screened yet. People didn't know where they were going to stay, if there was going to be a shelter, or if anybody was going to provide anything for us. And then when we got to the help center with Delta, there was just thousands of people. So my husband and I just opted to get a hotel and leave. But otherwise, everybody was just sort of chaotic. There wasn't entirely clear what was going on.
Ellen, were you traveling for work or pleasure?
We were visiting my in-laws for Christmas in Austria and came back for the last week before Christmas, and sort of just not the best end to the trip, although we're grateful to have arrived safely. And I couldn't say enough nice things about Delta. They were fantastic.
And perhaps some good news that came out of this. You said the airlines handled things quite well for you. They were very accommodating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Delta has gone above and beyond with us. We're just really grateful. Everybody's been very communicative. The pilot on board was fantastic. The telephone service, everybody's been really understanding and very gracious about the whole ordeal. There's no comps for us because this is not their fault. This is an issue with the airport, so everyone's going to be out of pocket for their own money. But all things considered, I think everybody's just glad to be safe.
So how much are you out money-wise?
Oh, so far probably about $350 for a hotel and cabs and food. So it's not the worst thing. It could be a lot worse, but we're just grateful to be hopefully heading on our way shortly. There's tens of thousands of people running around here right now. The plane train isn't working inside the world's one of the largest airports, so it's a little chaotic here. Our flight doesn't appear to be canceled, so we're among the very fortunate because it sounds like thousands and thousands of flights have been canceled.
A tough situation for many, but Ellen, it's on this holiday week. It's quite refreshing to hear your optimism and you keeping things positive. certainly the way to go
it's
through
a
that.
Christmas miracle that we're all okay. So we're just
Certainly.
grateful to be all right.
Well, we're glad you're keeping your spirits up. Happy holidays to you, and thanks for calling in.
Thank you.